In the small but growing town of Ekpoma, there was a barber shop known by everyone, feared by some, and respected by most. It was called Sharp Sharp Cuts. Painted red and black, with an old wooden sign swaying above the door, the shop had been around for more than 30 years. The man behind the chair was called Barber, a quiet man with a white face and eyes that never smiled. He was tall and moved like a shadow. No one really knew where he came from. Some said he came from Benin. Others whispered he was not even human, but everyone agreed on one thing: his hands were blessed with magic. If he shaved your hair before a job interview, you would get it. If he trimmed your beard before an exam, you would pass. If you cut your hair there before a date, your partner would fall in love. People came from far and wide to sit in his chair. Governors, pastors, even musicians. But nobody ever stayed too long after the cut. Something about that place felt cold. Sit still, he always said. The blade must not fear the flesh. One day, a young boy named Zara came into the shop. Zara was just 16. Skinny and quiet. He lived with his grandmother and helped her sell akara every morning. He had never entered the barber shop before. His grandmother warned him, "That man, Barber, he's not right. Don't go there." But Zara was tired. Tired of being laughed at in school for his rough hair. Tired of being poor. Tired of being invisible, so he went. "Oh, my boy," Barber said without looking up. "You finally came. How do you know me?" Zara asked, shivering. "I know every head in this town," Barber said with a thin smile. "Sit." Zara Saturday. That day, something strange happened. As the razor touched his head, Zara felt a cold wind brush his neck. His ears rang. He tried to speak but couldn't. He wanted to move, but his body was frozen. Barber whispered something in a language Zara had never heard. When the cut was over, Barber handed him a mirror. Zara looked at his reflection. He didn't recognize himself. His eyes looked darker. His smile felt forced. He left the shop confused, but everyone he met that day kept saying the same thing: "You look powerful." Over the next few days, Zara's life changed. Teachers started to praise him. Girls who once ignored him now smiled at him. He was invited to parties. Even the toughest boys in school greeted him with respect, but something was wrong. At night, Zara couldn't sleep. He heard voices in his head. He dreamt of fire, blood, and a dark figure holding a blade. He started waking up with strange marks on his arms. His grandmother grew worried. One night, she told him, her hands trembling, "I saw you standing in front of the mirror, talking to your reflection. But it wasn't moving." Zara didn't remember, but the dreams got worse. Then, one day, tragedy struck. A boy from his school, Divya, died mysteriously. He had insulted Zara in class the day before. He laughed at Zara, mocked his poor shoes. Now he was gone. Everyone said it was an accident, but Zara knew the truth. He had wished it. And it had happened. That evening, Zara ran back to the barber shop, but Sharp Sharp Cuts was closed. The door was locked. The sign was gone. The windows were broken. As he turned to leave, a beggar nearby whispered, "You've been marked, boy. Barber doesn't cut hair. He cuts destinies." Zara fell to his knees. "What did he do to me?" he cried. The beggar didn't answer. Zara didn't sleep that night. He sat outside with his grandmother, watching the moon hide behind the clouds. The air was heavy, and even the crickets were silent. His heart beat like a drum, slow but loud. Something inside him was changing, and he could feel it. His grandmother watched him closely. Her eyes were old, but sharp like a hunter's knife. She had raised him since he was a baby, after his mother died giving birth to him and his father disappeared like smoke. "Zara," she said softly, "what did you let touch your spirit?" Zara didn't answer. Instead, he burst into tears. "I just wanted to be seen, Mama. Just once. I didn't know. I didn't know it would cost me this much." She held his face in her wrinkled hands, brushing his tears away. "You don't make deals with shadows just because the sun turns its back on you, my son," she said. "You shine your own light. Even if it's small." In the morning, Zara woke with a burning feeling on the back of his neck. When he looked in the mirror, he saw something horrible. A strange symbol had appeared behind his ear. It looked like a twisted razor blade with an eye in the middle. It wasn't drawn. It wasn't a tattoo, it was part of his skin. He screamed. His grandmother rushed in, saw the mark, and fainted. That day, he didn't go to school. He didn't eat. He stayed inside, pacing. Then came the knock. 3 times. He opened the door slowly and found a little girl standing there. She had no shoes, and her eyes were wide, like she had seen too much of the world too early. "My name is Shira," she said. "You don't know me. But I know what's happening to you." Zara stared at her. "What?" "I was once in that barber's chair too," she said. "And I barely escaped." Shira was 12 years old. She lived in the next village, far from Ekpoma, but had heard the stories. She told Zara that Baba Kofi had been alive for over 100 years. He didn't just cut hair, he fed on pain, pride, and desperation. Every time someone sat in that chair and wished for a better life, he planted a seed in their soul, that mark. It was not just a sign, it was a contract. "One day soon," she said, "you'll wake up and you won't be you anymore. You'll be cold, angry, and empty. Just like the others who served him." Zara shook his head. "There must be a way to stop it. A way to break the curse." Shira nodded. "There is. But it's dangerous. And it begins with going back to where it all started." Later that night, after Zara's grandma had finally fallen asleep, Zara packed his small bag. Shira led him through the back parts of the town, away from the roads and eyes of people. They walked through the forest, where the air felt thick, and leaves whispered names they had never heard. They reached a ruined building deep in the woods. "This was the first sharp cut," Shira said. "Long before the town was built. It's where Baba Kofi started." Inside the broken shop was nothing but dust, cobwebs, and an old cracked mirror hanging on the wall. "Look into it," Shira whispered. Zara stepped forward. Slowly. His heart was pounding. He looked into the mirror, but what he saw was not his reflection. It was Divya, the boy who had died, standing, bleeding and crying. "Why did you let me die?" The image asked. Zara fell to the ground, shaking. "I didn't mean to. I was angry. I just wished. I didn't mean it." The mirror cracked, and a voice echoed through the room, the voice of Baba Kofi. "Wishes are sharp, boy. Like razors. Once made, they must cut." Zara froze. He knew that voice. Baba Kofi stepped out from the shadows. His eyes glowed faintly. His hands were dry like old leather. "You came looking for answers," he said. "You want to break the bond. But why?" "To be free," Zara said, standing. "To stop hurting people." Baba Kofi laughed, a dark, slow laugh that shook the ground. "Pain is power, my son. You only suffer because you still care. Soon, You thank me. Soon, you'll be like me. Shira stepped in front of Zora, brave despite her small size. We won't let you take him. Baba Kofi narrowed his eyes. Then prove it. He vanished, but his laughter stayed, echoing in the wind. The mirror broke. As they turned to leave, the mirror on the wall exploded, shards of glass flew everywhere. One piece cut Zora on the cheek. Blood dripped down, but something happened. The mark on his neck glowed, then flickered. Shira smiled. You bled, she whispered. Your own pain, your own sacrifice, it's weakening his grip. Zora stood up, eyes fierce now. If pain is what he wants, then I'll show him mine. The rain poured like tears from the heavens as Zora and Shira walked through the forest. They were cold, wet, and afraid. But they didn't stop, because now they knew the truth. Baba Kofi was not just a barber. He was a collector of souls, and the only way to break the curse and destroy the mark on Zora's neck was to find the 3 hidden razors. Shira explained as they walked. Many years ago, a woman named Abeni was the first to survive Baba Kofi's chair. She was strong, brave, and full of light. She found a way to fight him, but the battle came at a cost. She lost her husband, her daughter, even her sight. Before she died, she created 3 sacred razors. Each one can cut through the darkness he plants in people. But they were hidden in 3 cursed places across the land. Zora listened in silence. He thought of Divya. He thought of his grandma, and deep inside, he promised himself, I will not die with this curse in me. Their first stop was in an abandoned village known for whispers and disappearances. The villagers had left many years ago after strange deaths began, people choking in their sleep and babies born with no voice. The pit of echoes was at the center. It was said that if you stood near the pit, you would hear the voices of everyone you had ever hurt. And if your heart was weak, it would pull you in. As Zora and Shira approached, the wind changed, and then they saw it, a deep black hole in the earth, wide as a house. Around it were old stones, marked with names and blood. Shira squeezed Zora's hand. Are you ready? He nodded. As Zora stepped close to the edge, the voices came. Why did you let me die? You promised you'd help. His old classmate who failed because Zora didn't share notes. You said you'd never forget me. His mother, from the grave. The voices were endless. He dropped to his knees. Tears fell freely. I'm sorry, he whispered. I was weak and scared. I only wanted to be seen. The voices grew quiet. Shira gasped. Zora. Look. Floating gently in the center of the hole was a silver razor. Beautiful and clean, Zora reached into the pit with shaking hands. The moment he touched the razor, a flash of light burst from it and threw him backward, but the razor came with him. He had earned it. Shira smiled. 1 down. 2 to go. That night, they found shelter in a broken church. Shira slept fast, curled under a dusty cloth, but Zora didn't sleep. He sat staring at the razor. Then, suddenly, he was no longer in the church. He was standing in the barber shop, and Baba Kofi stood in the center, sharpening a blade. You think a little light will save you? He said coldly. You think tears will stop the storm? Zora clenched his fist. I'll stop you. I don't care if I die trying. Baba Kofi smiled. Oh, but you will die. The question is, who else will die with you? Zora woke up screaming. The next morning, they buried the razor in Zora's bag and headed to the second location, the House of Ashes. Shira walked slower. Zora noticed she was coughing. Are you okay? He asked. I'm fine, she lied, but he saw blood on her hand when she wiped her mouth. The House of Ashes breathed. Its wooden floor creaked even when they didn't move. Smoke came from nowhere. The smell of burnt skin filled the air. Zora felt his legs weaken. In the center of the room was a chair made of bones. And on it, the second razor, red like fire. Zora reached for it, but the house screamed, the floor caught fire. Shira screamed, "Run!" But Zora didn't move. He saw the razor, and in that moment, he saw his mother's face. Her laughter. Her prayers. Her blood on the delivery bed, he thought. She didn't run. She gave everything for me, so he went close, and grabbed the razor. It burned him, but he didn't let go. They escaped the house, barely. Zora collapsed outside, his hands blistered and bleeding. The razor was now cool, resting beside him. Shira hugged him. "You could have died." He smiled weakly. "I'd rather die free than live cursed." That night, under the stars, Shira finally told him the truth. "I'm not going to live long," she said. Zora looked at her in shock. "The day I sat in Barber Coffee's chair. He marked me. But I escaped before the curse finished. It's still eating me. That's why I'm coughing blood. I don't have much time left." Zora's heart broke. "Then why are you helping me?" She smiled and said, "Because if I can't save myself, maybe I can help save you." The forest was quiet, even the birds refused to sing. The trees stood tall like guards watching, warning, and waiting. Shira and Zora stood at the edge of a valley. Below them lay a wide, dark land. No trees. No light. No sound. Only dust and bones. It was called Agbra, the place of great power, but everyone else called it by another name, the land of no return. Legend said that many had entered, seeking truth, revenge, or freedom. But none had ever come back. Zora looked at Shira. She was coughing again. Her eyes were tired. Her skin pale, but she gave him a small smile. "This is the last one," she said. "If we get it, you'll be free." Zora nodded, holding her hand. "No. We'll be free." Then they stepped into the valley, the land that remembers. As they walked, strange things happened. Zora heard laughter, his own laughter, but from years ago, when his mother was alive. Then he heard her voice. "Promise me, Zora. Promise you'll never let darkness live in your heart." He turned. She wasn't there. Shira screamed suddenly. She was staring at the ground. Zora rushed to her side and saw a skeleton wearing a school uniform. It was holding a small mirror in one hand. Shira began to cry. "I know this boy. His name was Fola. He was the first one Barber Coffee marked. He disappeared 5 years ago. They buried the bones with their hands. No tools. Just dirt, pain, and silence." Zora placed a stone over the grave. "We won't be next," he whispered. At the center of Agbra stood a small round hut. It had no door, no windows, only a hole in the roof where a single beam of light fell into the darkness. Inside, floating in the beam, was the third razor, black as night. Zora stepped forward. Then he heard the voice again, but this time, it wasn't Barber Coffee, it was himself. "You don't deserve to be free. You let people die. You were selfish. You were weak." He dropped to his knees. Shira knelt beside him. Held his face. "Don't listen," she said. "You've changed. You fought. You're not perfect, but you are not evil." Zora looked at the razor. He stood up. Walked into the light. The moment he touched the black blade, the entire hut shook, the ground cracked. Then a loud scream burst from the earth, the scream of Barber Coffee. Zora fell to the floor, holding the final razor to his chest. The 3 razors were now united, and Barber Coffee had felt it. As they climbed out of the valley, Shira collapsed, her breath slowed, her eyes fluttered. Zara, she whispered. I'm tired. No, no. Stay with me. We are almost done. I can't feel my legs. He carried her, step by step, hour by hour, but her weight grew lighter and lighter. Until she spoke her final words, please, Zara. Promise me. You will destroy him. And then, Shira died. Zara screamed. He screamed so loud, birds flew from the trees. He screamed until his throat bled. Then he held her tightly and cried like a child, because he was still a child, and the only person who believed in him was gone. Zara buried Shira beneath a tree. He marked her grave with a stone, just like he had for Fola. Then he stood, tears still falling, but his hands were steady. He now held all 3 razors. And he knew what he had to do. He walked back to Ekpoma, back to Sharp Sharp Cuts. But the shop was no longer a shop, it was a tower of shadow and screams. People walked past, heads down, afraid to look. Some whispered. Some cried. Some crossed themselves. Zara stood outside the door. He took one deep breath, then opened it. Inside was Boba Coffee, waiting and smiling. Oh, my son returns, he said. Did you enjoy the journey? Zara didn't answer. He pulled out the razors, held them high. Boba Coffee's smile dropped. You found them, he said softly. Yes, Zara replied. And now, I will end you. The sky turned black. Thunder roared across the town of Ekpoma as Zara stood at the door of Sharp Sharp Cuts, holding the 3 sacred razors in his hand. Inside, Boba Coffee waited. The walls of the barber shop breathed like a living beast. The mirrors were cracked. The chairs were covered in blood. But Boba Coffee. He looked calm. Welcome back, he said, his voice smooth like oil, but cold like ice. You've come far, boy. I'm not a boy anymore, Zara said. You turned me into a fighter. The evil barber chuckled. A fighter, yes. But not a winner. You carry pain, loss and death. And pain makes people weak. No, Zara whispered, stepping forward. Pain makes people human. The air inside the shop changed. Shadows rose from the floor like smoke. Screams filled the room. And Boba Coffee's eyes turned red. He stretched out his hand, and a long, black blade appeared, curved like a snake, hissing in the air. Zara reached into his bag and pulled out the first razor, the razor of truth. The moment he held it, light exploded from his palm, and then Boba Coffee attacked. The shop twisted. Chairs flew. Mirrors shattered. But Zara stood his ground. You marked me with evil, he shouted, slashing forward, but I found the truth. You feed on fear, but I have no more fear left to give. The first cut landed. Boba Coffee screamed. Darkness spilled from his wound. Boba Coffee charged again. Faster this time, face twisted in rage, he swung at Zara with his black blade. It hit Zora's shoulder, cutting deep, but Zora didn't fall. Instead, he dropped the first razor and pulled out the second, the razor of sacrifice. Fire blazed around him, images of Divya, Zora's grandma, Fola, and Shira flashed in his mind. He screamed, not in pain, but in love. I fight for them. He shouted. For the ones you took. For the ones you tried to break. For the girl who gave her life so I could live. He slashed again, and this time, half of Boba Coffee's face melted away. The demon roared, you dare strike me with fire? Yes, Zara whispered. I dare. Boba Coffee fell to one knee, but he wasn't finished. He raised his hand, and from the walls of the barber shop, souls began to rise, children, mothers, fathers. People Baba Kofi had stolen. If I fall, he growled, I will take them all with me. Zora dropped to his knees, tears filled his eyes. He couldn't let that happen, so with the last of his strength, he took out the final blade, the razor of spirit. It didn't shine like the others, it didn't burn, it simply paused, a quiet heartbeat, and in that moment, Zora understood, this wasn't a weapon of war, it was a weapon of peace. He walked slowly to Baba Kofi, and then he forgave him. I won't become like you, Zara whispered. Baba Kofi stared at him, confused. You won't kill me. No, Zara said. That's what you want. You want me to become a monster. But I choose light. And with that, he pressed the final razor into the demon's chest, not with violence, but with truth, and Baba Kofi began to burn from the inside out, not from fire, but from light. The chains broke, the soul screamed, and then everything went silent. Zara woke up outside the shop. The building was gone, burned to the ground. The clouds were clearing, birds sang again, people began to gather. Confused, crying and free. The mark on Zara's neck gone, the curse was broken, the evil was finished, and Baba Kofi, just ash. Weeks passed, the town slowly healed. Zara visited the graves of those he lost, especially Shira. He sat by her tree every evening, talking to her spirit, thanking her for everything. He told her he would never forget her. Then, one day, he opened a small wooden shed near the market. Inside were 3 empty chairs, clean and bright, a new barber shop. He named it Shira's Touch. But he didn't just cut hair, he listened to people's stories, he gave advice, he told children not to be afraid of their past, he taught them that pain doesn't make you broken, it makes you stronger. Zora never became rich, but he became respected, he became a healer, he became a boy who turned darkness into light, and though he lost many things, he gained something bigger, peace, and that, in the end, is the sharpest cut of all. Moral lessons. Pain is not weakness, it's proof of love. Real heroes are not born, they are made through struggle.